Good morning. Sunday morning. We are just finishing up with July here, and I thought it was really interesting how here we are at the end of the month and it's raining and we've had some thunder and lightning, so July is going out with a bang. I wanted to touch base with you just a little bit on the topics that are being covered in the PowerPoints and in the text this week. It's actually very interesting, so I hope you take the time to really read and reflect on the information provided in the book and in the PowerPoints. One chapter, chapter 8, talks about disclosing, and that's something that takes place in relationships that can be risky, can be frightening for some people, and has consequences many times. So we really think about those communications. So take a look at all of the information there, and as you read it, reflect on your own life and maybe think about circumstances where you've disclosed information about yourself, and how in some cases it's been really nice that you've done that. You've had a positive response and maybe become closer to the individual that you disclosed the information to, but then in other times you disclose and it doesn't have such a positive effect. And it's interesting in communication how those situations that we've been through where we've disclosed kind of inform us and give us kind of a feeling of, do we want to disclose again? And we start to become wise in our decision making in that area. There is a window called the Johari window of self-disclosure, and there's a slide that you'll see about that. Take a look at that and think about that and kind of relate it to your own life. The reason I keep telling you to bring it back to your own life is because that's a skill that in different types of learning, it's called synthesis. And so what it is doing in Bloom's taxonomy, which is something we learn in education, you are using your higher thinking skills when you synthesize and evaluate. So when you bring it home to something you've been through before and attach it to the information that you're learning in the text, to the schema or the background or information that you already know from your life experience, then it really starts to sink in and it becomes effective learning where this will be something that stays with you. So that's why I do ask you to do that. This chapter I think is very interesting because you'll start to look at these natural situations that have evolved all through your life, through childhood, high school, and as an adult, and you'll think about them in terms of what experts and researchers in communication have to say about it. So I think it'll be a revealing chapter for you. In chapter 10, there's a lot of discussion and revelation about close relationships, which is a different type of communication. When we talk about the way we speak at home and with our loved ones and with small children, or with twins with one another, or brothers and sisters with one another, that is different than the way we speak in a business setting, or at least it should be, because it's an entirely different world in a way. I can remember as a teenager when this really hit me. I was actually born in Philadelphia and moved here when I was very young. And I mentioned before, I think, that I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters. So it's a large family. And I recall going back east to Philadelphia with my mother. And at that time when we went back, I saw my mother in a whole different light because I knew her as my mother, the mother of 8 children who lived in California, had lots of work to do every day, lots of responsibility on her plate, very busy, very task-oriented, loving, yes, but very business-like about things. I mean, she had to run that house kind of as a tight ship because there were so many responsibilities and a tight budget and a big, big family. So when I saw her in Philadelphia around the people who knew her as the youngest of the Callahan girls, and who knew her as a young woman growing up and being a young woman during World War II, and they knew her in a different light. And I saw the way she communicated. It made me realize, wow, my mother has a whole other side that I've never seen before. So perhaps you've seen that with a family member or a close one or friend, that when you take that person you know in one role and you see them in one of their other roles, there's a whole different side to them. Well, this chapter is taking the idea of close relationships and that intimate communication that you have with those that you feel close with, and explains why that takes place and the dynamics of it, and kind of some of the theory that supports the communication that takes place in close relationships. So I hope you will also look at that and relate it to your life and think about close relationships. Now, where people get in trouble with communication is when they can't distinguish the different registers of speaking, and they can't distinguish that in one setting it's okay to speak a certain way and in another it is not. When that takes place, they run into some communication challenges. So hopefully, particularly in interpersonal communication, but also in organizational. I know some of you have taken that course or maybe will be, but that definite type of communication that takes place in a personal setting is different. And there may be moments of it, there may be periods of time that you can slip into a little more of a personal type of communication in a business setting, but usually it's quite different. So I just wanted to give you some of my thoughts on that. This week, take a look at the assignments. I know you're working on your case studies. I did repost in the weekly folder the information about that. Now, I don't have it really. I want to let you know that those instructions, don't think that they are vague without intent. The reason why I leave it open is I want you to make this your own, and all of the scenarios are different. So if you're doing your observations and it's not convenient to take notes right at that moment, do them as soon as you can thereafter so that you have those fresh details in mind. And some people want to take notes on their iPhone or their iPad. Some want to scribble it onto a little small notebook. Others are writing notes in their calendar and transcribing them. So I'm leaving it open so that you can organize your own work. Now, should you have any questions about that and you want to run anything by me, then please send me an email. Happy to work with you on that. So have a blessed day. It's Sunday today, so I hope you have a great week. Take care, and I'll talk to you later.